Hi guys, back from lunch. So my name is Vishal. I'll be moderating this panel. We have a very, very extremely interesting panel today. We have one lawyer who's Alyosius Wee. He's been practicing in Singapore. He's dealing with a lot of ICOs. Then we have Tone Vays. He doesn't need any introduction. Then we have Alexander Geralis. He is supplying technology to a lot of exchanges in the background. So he's dealing with a lot of exchanges, and he knows what the industry view is in the background. And then we have Varun. He's an AI expert. He's been dealing with imaging technologies, and he can tell us how these things work in the background, the KYC systems. And so, okay, so let's start. So let me first have the panelists kind of introduce themselves a little bit, what they do and how they're involved with the crypto ecosystem.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying here and listening to us. I've been a lawyer for close to 20 years, and in the last 5 years, been pretty active in this crypto space, ICOs, crypto assets, crypto exchanges. And I've seen this industry move very, very quickly. It moves, changes by the month, new regulations coming up, new governments sharing new guidelines, and I think this is a very exciting time for everybody. But I think with all these changes, there's always apprehension. How we are adopting it, how are we going to manage it, can it be managed at all? These are questions I think all of us in this ecosystem have to deal with at some point in time.
Hi everyone, my name is Tone Vays. I run a YouTube channel in the space. Now my expertise is in finance and trading, but on my show, I moderate and I host a weekly or a bi-weekly sometimes law show in regards to the crypto space. And I felt that this is a very important element of what's going on right now in our ecosystem. And unfortunately, none of the lawyers from my YouTube channel were able to make it all the way to Singapore. But I am happy to represent, and I think I'll have something good to add into this discussion.
Right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alex Geralis, CPO at C Exchange by Spotware. Now what we do is we build trading platforms since 2011, and C Exchange is our solution for cryptocurrency exchanges. And of course, we believe things should be done a lot better than they're currently done in terms of execution, in terms of security. And that's why I'm pleased to be on this panel to speak with my colleagues here.
Hi guys, good afternoon everyone. I'm Varun. So I guess I should start off by saying I was a Bitcoin miner. So I had one of these big, huge ant miner rigs at my house. So that was my first tryst with cryptocurrencies and blockchain. I'm currently co-founder of a startup called 7 Cents, which is in the image recognition and facial recognition domain. So I'm kind of a little bit of a tangent on this discussion, but I hope to contribute.
Okay, so let's move with our first question. So let's just name the elephant in the room. What do you think is the regulatory challenge, and is it really stopping Bitcoin and crypto adoption? What is the one elephant in the room which you would name? Let's start with you, Alyosius.
I think there is a habit of most regulators, and the fact they are called regulators means that the job is to put regulation into place to make sure that things operate in a fair manner. And the question I have for most regulators is, who are they protecting? Are they protecting the startups? Are they protecting the economy? Are they protecting the investors or the shareholders? I think, as with everything in life, it's a matter of balance. If you put too much regulation in place, you're going to stifle the industry. And we have a fantastic technology driving this current wave, which is the blockchain. How do we embrace that, and how do we manage that to make it work for everybody? I think that's the challenge that most regulators have. Particularly in Singapore, we are seeing this thing called a sandbox, where the regulator's saying, look, I really don't know what's happening, but look, you guys can come and play here and play, and we will let you know what we allow and what we don't allow. So that is, I think, a compromise situation. I think that would be good for people like us as lawyers, trying to figure out, because we can't tell you what the rules are until the regulators tell us what the rules are.
So the elephant in the room is the understanding of regulators. They don't know what's...
Absolutely. I think the regulators have a different mindset. They are there and because they have this job to do it, they want to do it.
Right. So, Tony.
I think there's actually two. So one of them is from the regulator perspective, they need to understand what a blockchain actually is. I think they're completely confused as to what they're dealing with. And from what I've seen in the US, so many people are printing their own money with these old coins that they have enough money to throw at these lobbyists to try and convince the government and the regulators into something that it's not, just so because they can afford it. So I think the big challenge is for them to actually understand what they're dealing with, and then after they understand what they're dealing with, and that's the first challenge, the second challenge is how do you create regulation and enforce it globally? Because I don't think they've ever had to do that before, because what we're dealing with right now is global. You don't need jurisdiction to do what we do. Bitcoin can't be stopped. It's just digital data. So even if you figure out what it is, how do you enforce it? And I think that's going to be their biggest challenge.
Alex?
Right, I agree a lot with what Tone said, where a lot of ICOs they're in this position with enough money to alter things. However, from a exchange point of view, currently I think the elephant in the room is that it's not very clear. We don't have exchanges that are as good as exchanges in traditional equities in terms of what is their execution method, in terms of security, in terms of protecting you as a trader when you're actually in the trade. And secondly, from there on is how does the SEC classify trading? How will they go about it in 2018, 2019? We saw, very recently they went after some exchanges because they were offering their services to US traders. So regulation is kind of a global topic, as well as like Alyosius commented, it's also local, but we do have to see what's going on in America if we want to be traders.
Varun?
I think the big elephant in the room is the bad rap around cryptocurrency where it comes to governments and things like that. And that bad rap comes from the fact that it is a double-edged sword. At the end of the day, you could be a dog and have a wallet account and you could be transacting on the internet, right? But how does the government actually regulate that? So the only point of interaction between regulators and people who are actually dealing with cryptocurrency is at the point of exchange, when the cryptocurrency actually becomes an asset that is visible, like US dollars or some other asset, when it converts from being a token to being an actual thing. So I think that's an interesting elephant in the room, which is, I think, identity. That if I lose my wallet address, if I lose my private key, I can still go to the bank and say, I'm Varun Chatterji, and I want my money in my account. But that is not something that is possible right now. So,
Varun, you're an image expert and you're an AI expert. Let me ask you straight up. Do you think KYC on a remote basis is possible? Like, is it possible to check? If I change my date of birth on my driving license, and I want to somehow bypass all the criminal lists and criminal checks, so do you think your AI or any AI in the world can detect that this date of birth has been changed?
Well, I'll come at it from two perspectives. One perspective is from an AI and image recognition perspective. So the dominant technology in image recognition right now is deep neural networks. And deep neural networks are notoriously easy to fool. So if a deep neural network is classifying an image as a gorilla and you change a few pixels, a neural network has been shown to misclassify that as a completely different animal altogether. Having said that, if we talk about authentication of documents, there are initiatives that are being taken where you have public-private key infrastructure where a document may be signed by a centralized authority. But then, again, this is a debate between centralized signing versus a distributed proof of work kind of system.
But those documents don't exist, obviously, right?
They do. Like for example, Aadhaar in India is issuing identities that are signed. So there are governments who are...
So just a few governments here and there, patchy at best. now my question to Alex, you would know better that, do you have access to global databases where you can actually check if this name, date of birth, and address is exactly correct? And what kind of pass-throughs are you seeing, and what kind of decline rates are you seeing?
So AML and KYC is something that we can comment on, we can give our partners insight on, but ultimately it is, it's up to them, especially if they're in India or if they're in Singapore, it might change a lot. However, I can tell you from being in the business that there are some AML KYC solutions that are very plugged in. One of them services a number of the top 50 exchanges, and they're plugged into databases because of their business. Obviously, their security has to be very tight, and they do the verification for the fiat on-ramp. So if you're trading on one exchange and you've traded on another exchange, immediately they know. They have a database of all your blockchain wallets that you've used in and out, and then they can match them if they've gone to other exchanges. So AML is very much now, it's very much under control. It's not like people think that, it's very anonymous and it's easy to get away with money laundering. And unfortunately, when a lot of money moves hands, this is part of how things must be.
So I'll disclose a test which we conducted recently. So all we did is somebody took my driving license and changed a few digits and the name and the photograph. Yeah. And they applied to the top 5 exchanges. It went through. Why do you think it went through? Do you think they could have detected it somehow, or? So
they took your driver's license and they changed some figures?
Yes.
Like in Photoshop?
And yeah, I'm not a criminal. I was not on a criminal list, but it still went through, and it was a fake ID. It was a synthetic ID, actually. It was not a synthetic ID. It's actually a fake ID. There's a difference between the two.
You did this only on one exchange?
No, let me not name the exchanges, but
no, don't say
at least 3 out of the top 5.
Okay. They should, if they have a good AML KYC solution. Some companies do it in-house, which means you don't have that much access. If it's an outsourced third party, that this is just their business, they should be able to, then if you use your same picture on another exchange or a similar ID, they should be able to at least flag it, and then it's up to the exchange to, decide how to go about it. But there are the top solutions, they use up to 50 parameters.
On an image document where they can actually check?
It's a number of documents, it's your, where you live, proof of address, it might even be video, it might be facial recognition. It depends how much money because this costs money. So it's, for one AML KYC, how much are they prepared to put down?
Right, because we just got to know that neural networks can be fooled, and there is no global database because
in theory, let me just put a caveat there that it's a theoretical thing. In practice, obviously facial recognition does work. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing a company around it.
But you would need a global face database to match it against, right?
That's correct.
Does it exist? I don't think, I've never heard of a facial.
There are a lot of, again, regulatory issues around that as well. Can you have a database of everyone's face? What are the privacy laws, again, around that?
Right. So Tony, do you think this, so the Bitcoin kind of crashed in the last 2 months. And on September 5th, it started crashing pretty much. There was a 20% crash when the FATF guys, the Financial Action Task Force, met in China to decide the fate of cryptocurrencies. And last month, they enabled AML KYC laws to be applicable on crypto. Do you think this is the reason why it's crashing? And the regulatory clarity, is that crashing crypto, or is it actually, it's in the cleanup phase?
No, I don't think so. I think the reason for the big price drops in crypto is because it just got way overpriced at the end of last year. It was just all hype, and it got too expensive, and now we're just correcting. Everything, all of these news events, they're pretty much just noise. Eventually, we will find the bottom. Now, again, I only care about Bitcoin. I think everything else is regulatable, and I think Bitcoin is not regulatable, like Bitcoin itself. If Bitcoin was regulatable, it wouldn't be worth, what, $4,000 today? It'd be worth like maybe $4, maybe 4 cents. One of the reasons why Bitcoin is so valuable is because you can't regulate it. Sure, you can put some regulation on and off ramps, but once you have your hands on Bitcoin, that's it. You can do whatever you want with it. And Bitcoin itself is going to change the way governments view money laundering. I think maybe 5, 6 years ago, governments felt that they had an amazing handle on the concept of money laundering, which is just a made-up concept. Your money should be yours. I feel that money laundering laws should not exist. I think they're absolutely terrible for society. You have money, you should be allowed to do whatever you like with that money. I'm anti any law that involves money laundering. Now, on the other hand, if you are soliciting money from other people, you need to be regulated. The government needs to know who you are because you are soliciting money from others. But if you have money, you should not be a subject of someone else telling you how and when and how much of your own money you can spend. So I am very happy that Bitcoin is going to throw all of these money laundering laws on its head. So that's my view on the situation.
So Varun wanted to add something in this.
Yeah, so my point was like, let's say if tomorrow regulators came up with a law that in this country or in this jurisdiction or in this whatever unit of geography that you can think of, it is illegal to exchange Bitcoin for real money. Because at the end of the day, if it is illegal to exchange Bitcoin for a real commodity, whether it's money or whether it's real estate or anything, isn't that kind of going into the zone of being able to regulate it?
It is, but only in this country, right? So, I mean, the world would have to be on the same page on that, right? Again, if you don't want to, we're living in a country where drugs are very, very illegal, and they're able to still do that. And obviously, if someone smokes marijuana, this is not the country they would ever want to step foot in. And it would be the same thing. Like, again, if you don't care about Bitcoin and it's illegal to spend it here in this country, you wouldn't spend it because you wouldn't want to take the risk of getting arrested. But not every country in the world is going to have that kind of a law.
Of course, my point was that it is still regulatable in a sense.
But they can't stop me from doing it, right? Again, it's regulatable to the same extent as smoking a plant is regulatable. You can get in a lot of trouble. You can spend your whole life in prison. But they can't stop you from actually doing it. Unlike if Bitcoin didn't exist, the entire globe is on this push to eliminate paper dollars. And then every financial transaction is going through the banking system and through the government system. And that is a completely different animal because then they can stop you from making a transaction instead of trying to catch you for doing the transaction, right? Because then they're in control of every transaction. And that's the big difference. There's a big difference there. There's a big difference in a third party penalizing you for doing something and completely preventing you from doing it with technology.
You guys got about 3 minutes left, just for your information. Going great, guys. Thank you.
Wow, that was fast.
Too much to discuss over here.
Yeah, we've just gotten started. Okay. So very quickly, I would like to ask if you were I would turn the tables on it. So one sentence, what you would do as a regulator to make this blockchain work? What kind of clarity you would need? I mean, what is the law you would pass, probably?
I would agree with my friend here that we should have less regulation. Let startups grow. Let this be a more free market. And then if there are kinks in the system, let's deal with it when it happens. Let's not put obstacles in our own way before we actually get to the obstacle.
How about?
Yeah, and again, I want less regulation on a person's freedom, but I actually want a lot more regulation on the solicitation of money. So if I was a regulator, I probably would make almost every ICO illegal and go after the people that were soliciting money from the general public that had no idea what they were investing in. It's those that, so that's, as a regulator, that's my big push. Let people spend money however they like, but if you're going to solicit money, you could be in a lot of trouble if you don't follow very specific protocols.
Alex?
So I think I agree with what my co-panelists here say, that Bitcoin itself cannot be regulated, otherwise it would have been done a long time ago. However, some regulation of the gateways will definitely continue, and it is happening. That being said, I hope most of the regulation that does pass is done in such a way that it helps the trading environment, it makes it a safer, a more secure, and a more trust-friendly place for somebody. But the asset itself, like Tone said, once you have it, once you got Bitcoin, it's in your own private wallet, then it's yours.
What I hear is he's saying we need SEC type of laws, but not money laundering. He's saying we need less regulation. Are you saying you want to be regulated or you don't want to be regulated?
I don't want to be regulated. However, we do need better and more transparent exchanges. No exchange is clear about their execution process, which if you go trade on any broker that trades US equities, by law they must be clear. And you as a trader, then you know how they execute it.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you have a company that manages or controls other people's money, you need to be very heavily regulated.
So I think my view is kind of nuanced on this. So I totally believe in blockchain and its benefits and things like that. But at the same time, I do believe that the concepts of having a central bank, having a Federal Reserve, having a system through which the money supply changes, such as banks, having concepts like credit reserve ratios, which control the amount of money supply in a way by allowing banks to lend at a fraction of what they have. These constructs, constructs of international trade, constructs of controlling the price of money, controlling inflation. These factors I don't think they're going away in the long term. So I think there is room where there is going to be some sort of convergence between these constructs of macroeconomics and the construct of a cryptocurrency.
So I was part of this global meeting which happened in China. We had all the global regulators in one room. We were all talking with all the language translation units in our heads, and the whole meeting was about how do we control money laundering in crypto? Give us one practical solution where we can actually solve it, and then we would make this happen. Otherwise, the banks are liable. They would cut off all the connections with the crypto exchanges. So let's say if you have a diamond today in your hand and you go to a bank and they say, oh, I don't want it, just take it away. You go to another bank, you say, oh, I don't want it, you take it away. So the price would start crashing. So unless we bridge this gap between banks and the crypto, we wouldn't have a system which is accepted globally. And since the liability of money laundering is on banks, they wouldn't accept crypto till we solve this problem. And it's been crashing since that meeting. And in just last month, we had the AML laws pass through on crypto. And I think we need to live with this new clarity or the new reality of...
And I'm okay with that. I mean, let Bitcoin drop more. I'm happy to buy it at those lower prices because sooner or later...
I agree.
Money will become your property again. And the more you have, the more freedom you will have because Bitcoin transactions will not be regulatable. It'll be very... eventually, the next generation that are making the laws, they will have to learn to live with it. The way the internet is not really that regulatable. You can still do what you want. Bitcoin will be even better than that. It just won't be.
Totally agree. I mean, the regulators want the cryptocurrencies to work. They want to help how do we build this ecosystem without the kinks. And they're always looking for new ideas. And they're very open, guys. If anybody comes up with any idea on how to improve these systems, they're really, really happy to help.
Bitcoin was created to separate government from the control of money, and it's going to achieve that.
Great. I definitely think so. I think we're going to have a universal currency eventually. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Really, really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great, guys. Do you have any specific questions about regulation or, I guess not. I think we're... Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.